Let's go ahead and get started with the work session portion of the evening. What we're going to do with a lot of these are similar, especially on the regular agenda. So if we get to the regular agenda, we're going to group a lot of those together and talk about the similar projects together, whether it's annexation or cutting grass. But we will start with the consent agenda. The first item is the minutes, and the second one is a resolution for accepting a bid for the correctional facility food and beverage for the city of Hoover, and Ms. Bolt's here to talk about that item, if you're ready. Okay. It had your name by it, so that's what I was going by, but you ready? Okay. That's what I got. That's okay, no problem, no problem. That's okay.
This is the Gordon food for the jail. We had to rebid it this year because of increases. Everything went up. Even with the bid, it was up 15% on the last bid or the last contract. So
Okay.
that's it.
That's it? Okay, good deal.
Yes, sir.
Any questions on that? All right, moving on to resolution number 6966-23, which is to execute an agreement with Shelby County for funding for Veterans Park pickleball courts.
Yes, sir. This is our partnership with Shelby County. They're stepping up to the plate again. They're giving us additional funding for the pickleball courts at Veterans Park in the amount of $400,000.
Good deal. All right. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on to number 4. It's a resolution to ratify an agreement between the city of Hoover and the Crossplex. Ms. Cobal.
Yes, good evening. This is just a standard facility use agreement for the Crossplex. This is where we've been holding the swimming competition for the Move United event this week.
Good deal. All right, any questions on that? Okay, moving on to number 5, we have a resolution amending the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2023.
This one is.
Yes.
So we have 2 items. One is the addition for the Veterans Park pickleball. It did come in over budget. So we're asking for an additional $350,000 coming from current sales tax receipts. The second item is the front entrance section of the library roof. We're asking for an additional $500,000. This will be coming from the Municipal Improvement Fund.
Any questions on those projects and the funding? Yes, sir.
Ms. Bolt, I have a few questions. This last 10%, how many projects do we have currently that are not completed? My biggest concern is the Randall home. I know we had put money away for this past budget, take care of the roof, take care of paint, and make the patio ADH compliant, as well to create a permanent structure where the tent used to be. And I just want to know what the status is of the Randall home on those projects. I know Mr. Jahad has helped me out with that lately, but I kind of want to understand, number one, are those projects still going through? And what's the timeline for those? And if not, where's that money going to?
Well, we've allocated the money
Okay.
budget-wise, so that has not been moved for anything else.
Okay. So what's the
Yeah.
timeline?
The town, we had a bid opening yesterday. We had 2 contractors came in, bid on the project. Of course, again, that's another issue for us. We came way over budget. The architect and our city clerk's office, they're trying to certify the bids and see where we at with it. And most likely, we're gonna come back with a budget amendment to proceed with that project. Tentatively, that project should start somewhere in August, and we should be done by mid-October.
This is for the permanent structure?
We kind of removed the permanent structure out of it, but we do have completely replacing the roof, bringing in the pavers, level and raise it up, bringing in the 2 exterior doors, ADA, and also creating handicap parking spaces on the front of the building, on the side when you come in. Painting, roofing, all of that stuff. The permanent structure is gonna be done as a section. The two canopies on either side of the exterior doors, those will be built part of this project.
So what's your timeline for that to be completed?
It's supposed to be, if we start in August, we're supposed to be finished by October, mid-October.
I guess my other question is, when were the bids sent out?
When they were sent out,
Yeah, when was, I guess, the request for bids sent out?
oh, I'm not sure, that normally city clerk and purchasing handle that. I really don't have the date on that, but I could get that information.
That'd be great. I'm just confused because I know this money's been allocated for a long time, just why it's taking so long to get it to this point, that's all.
It's taking so long because of the design that we were working on, trying to get that right design with the right funding. The architect, that they will have to do a site survey and get everything lined up. I wish I could say, yes, we could, once we allocate the fund, we could say, here it is, let's start that project. But there is a process that they have to do. And once they do the design, we review it, and it's gonna take us back and forth till we get it fine-tuned where it needs to be.
How much over budget do you estimate or guesstimate that we are currently on the, what was originally thought of to be done for the permanent structure to what it is now?
I would say probably between 250 to 300,000.
Okay. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? That was actually item 10.
Yes, Ms. Volk, you mentioned the additional $350,000 coming from current sales tax receipts.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on what that means? I mean, would that be coming out of, so it's this year's budget, so coming out of next year's?
No, no, sir. Remember when we've been looking at financials, we're coming in over what we brought in last year for sales tax, so it would come out of that surplus. And I'll do financials Monday night as well and have that number. Right now, it's about $4 million.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about item 5 or item 10? All right, moving on to item number 6 is resolution to accept a bid for the City of Hoover Veterans Park pickleball courts.
Yes, this is our bid. Goodwin Mills Khayward was the agent working also with Jihad to do the construction for 8 pickleball courts, a new pavilion, and a parking lot extension. The bid notices were sent out via email to 297 Notify Me subscribers. The bid notice was also placed in the Alabama Messenger, Decatur Daily, and Montgomery Advertiser. Goodwin Mills sent out to 11 contractors on our city's vendor list. 2 bids were received and open publicly. The bid award that meets or exceeds all expectations and minimum bid submittals was Norris Paving, coming in at $1.2 million.
Any questions about that agenda item? While you're there, we briefly touched on ordinance number 23-2603, which is item 10, that appropriates the final 10% of the budget. Did anybody have any questions on that? And that's the second reading, we talked about it. All right, I just wanted to do that because I know when Mac plugs in, he's got lots of pictures, so I wanted to get him plugged in and ready to go. All right, now what we're gonna do next is, now that we got 10 out of the way, the rest of the agenda is Mac's, and he's got, it's a lot of it's annexations and grass cutting, which has visual aids, so if you could plug in. What I'd ask you to do is go over the weed abatements and get those knocked out, and then that way you can go straight through the annexations and show maps and all of that related to it.
All right, good to be with you for the duration of this work session. So yes, we have a number of nuisances that are in various stages of the process. Let's see, I do not have all pictures today, but we will have updated pictures for the current standing of each property on Monday for your consideration. And I'll just go through each of the addresses that we have. And as of right now, we have each of these in a nuisance condition based on our understanding and reading of the ordinance. The first one we have is 2337 Tyler Road. We also have 4547 Highland Crest Circle. These are locations that need abatement. We've already declared them a nuisance, and now we are needing to abate them. We have not, as of this point, had those self-remedy. So we will be coming to you Monday night asking for abatement of those two properties.
Any questions on those? I know that this time of year we do this a lot, and it's pretty standard. We'll probably be doing this till October based on the heat, but
We also, in the next resolution, have 1729 Mont Eagle Drive. This one is also up for abatement.
is that number 11?
I believe it is.
Okay. So that's the last one of those, and the next ones are all annexations all the way through 20.
Yes, sir, and I'll walk through each. Well, let's see, I've got an abatement for 1812 Strawberry Lane, 2405 Tyler Road, and 425 Shades Avenue
That's
as well
probably 11.
on the agenda.
Okay.
And we'll have updated photographs for each and every one of these on Monday night. All right, as far as, let's see, I'm seeing a second reading for the definition of home daycare, at least in the packet itself. Did we take care of that last time? Last meeting?
I
Okay.
think we did take care of that one.
All right, excellent. All right, now we can move on to the annexations. All right, the first one I have is for 8167 Annika Drive. This is a piece of property adjacent to Trace Crossings. It's a triangular shaped piece of property on the west side of the Cahaba River. And annexation of this property would fill in a gap in our city limits on this side of the river. And in speaking with the property owner, the intent is potentially to build one house on that tract.
Do we have maps of these properties?
For us visually challenged people.
If not, we can certainly get those to you in the interim. We'll have those for you. Me too. Let's see. Yes, this particular location is adjacent to the clubhouse for Abingdon by the river. All right, while we're looking for some of the visual aids, if you'd like, I can go through the rest of these and just give you a verbal
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
description. Okay. The next one we have is 1523 Highland Gate Point. This is an existing, very small donut hole in our city limits in the Lake Cyrus community. It's actually a portion of the property of 5223. The residents and the bulk of the lot are in the city limits. There's a small sliver in the back of that property that remains unincorporated, and so this would be a cleanup item. The next one I have is 2440 Southwood Trace. This too is a gap in our city limits that would be filled should it be annexed into the city.
All right.
The next one I have is 2821 Sterling Way. This is located also in a small gap in our city limits in the Inverness community. We have other properties on Sterling Way within the city limits, including the one at the end of the cul-de-sac. So this is a lot between the start of that stub street and the cul-de-sac and would fill a gap in the existing city limits. We, in addition to that, have 3 properties that are requesting annexation on Whippoorwill Drive. This is a dead-end street off of Guyton Road in between the south terminus of Russet Woods and Russet Glen, the garden home community. There is a pie-shaped area on the north side of Guyton that is outside of our city limits. These three properties together would be contiguous with our existing city limits, and we'll work towards closing that short gap along Guyton.
Okay.
Let's see, and those addresses in particular, 3854 Whippoorwill, 3851 Whippoorwill, and 3875 Whippoorwill.
Okay. And then the South Burbank, it's one in the middle.
Yes, sir. And we have South Burbank, 2 addresses. We have 2 tracts of land. South Burbank actually has a short stub extending to the south from Chapel Road. You can see the cul-de-sac directly from Chapel Road as you drive by. There's a stop sign there. Hopefully nobody's running that. But it's immediately, if you're going towards Park Avenue on the left, there are 2 unincorporated tracts at the end of that cul-de-sac. And the incorporation of these 2 tracts will close off that donut in our city limits. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, but we do have an annexation agreement that goes along with this one, stipulating certain conditions, limitation on the number of residences that could be located on this property.
How large is that tract?
Let's see. And I believe the annexation agreement stipulates a maximum of 3 dwellings?
It's
4 dwellings, okay.
And the last one, 3430 Morgan Road.
Okay. One moment. All right, this is the new gas station located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Morgan Road and South Shades Crest Road, directly across the intersection from the Publix. We are engaging in a percentage of that property being annexed in this phase, and we'll have another phase to come. And I believe this also has a rebate incentive that goes along with it. And I can let economic development speak more in detail to that if you like. But yes, this is the new Chevron station, northwest corner of the intersection of Morgan Road and South Shades Crest.
I've seen that gas station travel out there. It was very impressive. It's a beautiful facility. I happen to know one of the owners, and I'm glad he grew up here. I'm glad he's bringing it to the city.
Yes, sir. The owners, Holden Energy, did an excellent job there. What's particularly impressive is the amount of detail work that they put into that station. The aesthetics of it go well above and beyond what zoning in Jefferson County permits. And so that's certainly the kind of owner we'd like to be a part of our family.
Any questions about these annexations? I know that.
Mr. Pro-Tem, I'd love to hear about the, I guess, rebate idea that y'all have.
Okay. I'll let Mr. Knighton speak to that.
Certainly, as Holden Energy would come into the city, obviously their property taxes would increase, and they're a commercial property, so they would be assessed at 20%, so no burden on our school system in any fit form or fashion. In fact, double the tax revenue from an assessment rate because they're commercial. But because of that, what we were able to do was to work with Holden Energy to offer them for 3 years a 50% rebate just on the sales tax from their inside sales. No, I think it's just general sales tax in the city. And then also a 5-year abatement of a rebate, I should say, of the city portion, non-education portion of their property taxes. And so over a period of time, you could look and estimate that after about a 10-year period of time, the city, after a rebate, would collect about, probably, if the projections of Holden Energy are correct, you could collect probably about $15.3 million in new sales tax from the company to the city.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Murphy? We are finished with this, yes.
Yeah, let me, and I'll be brief. I would ask on Monday, just give me a little time to make a few comments on another subject. I see Chief Bill in the back, and Kenny Fountain, I think, left, and then Linda's over our 911 operation, and I had a great conversation with the mayor. Take me off of being a council person. As a citizen, I think sometime we support our public safety and all they do, but really don't know how fortunate we are. I'll give you a couple examples. I'm the chair of the public safety committee for Hoover, and when you look at other cities, you have many police chiefs having to work patrol because lack of police officers. These facts. They're taking their investigation team, move them to patrol so they can run beats. So this is what happens with that. Who's going to investigate homicides, forensics? Who's going to investigate human trafficking, narcotics, fraud, drugs? These investigations, like projects, we're talking about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months, years. Our folks don't give up. But the city of Hoover doesn't have that problem because of what we in leadership has done. Fire. We think about firefighters fighting fires. Did we know that every single fire hydrant had to be tested every single year? The fire department does that. Our cheap insurance premiums that we receive in a 6th largest city is directly the result of our SIO rating being the highest, the best, and 50% of the score for that is based strictly upon the fire department and their ability to serve, train, entire yard, 9 yards. If that wasn't the case, our SIO rating will be more impacted. Our premiums and insurance will go up. They attend to medical calls. Did you know you can go to a fire department, you feel lightheaded, they have monitors, heart monitors, blood pressure testing for you. And if something occurs, they call paramedic, take you to the hospital. And we have 11. They also respond to 2nd and 3rd responders, meaning that anybody around us, Bessemer, we work that agreement out to support that. On accidents, we realize they do vehicle extraction. Training upon training upon training, and it's not necessarily a concern, but more so it's something that I think we have to do as a city to promote our police, fire, 911 calls the best we can. But right now, I only know my wife's number because I've been dating her and married to her for a long period of time. I cannot tell you the mayor's number, I just know his name, and I click it. But it's 3 numbers that everyone knows from as soon as they can find out, and that's 911. And I'll talk to to the mayor, I want the council to be creative when it comes to supporting our fire department. Not saying we don't. I'm just saying that if you look at other departments, anytime the chief has to run a beat and patrol, I'm glad I live in the city of Hoover. So I want to make that statement. I got some other data I want to give out on Monday to ensure it gets out. But I think our citizens really need to market that the best way, whether that's mailers or whatever it is. That's all I have.
Okay, any other comments before we adjourn the work session and go into the special call meeting? Hearing none, we are adjourning the work session.